Okay, so we're out in the field today and we're going to be doing some simple maintenance on a garage door. Now with a maintenance schedule on your garage door, you can actually save yourself hundreds of dollars in repairs over the years by just doing some simple things like lubing up the tracks, the springs, the hinges, some stuff like that. So today we're actually going to show you how to do some simple things like that to maintain your door and keep it running smoothly and efficiently throughout the years. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to zoom in. We're going to show you how to lube up the tracks, the springs, the hinges, and then we're going to go over and inspect all the bolts and nuts, things like that, to make sure everything's nice and tight. Okay, so here we have a look at the torsion spring above the overhead door. It can be like you find in any residential or commercial situation. You're going to start to see it's looking like it's starting to rust here. You don't see a lot of lubrication on it. So we're going to go ahead and spray it down with this 3-in-1 garage door lubricant. So we're going to go ahead and spray the whole spring down. We're going to try and avoid the bar itself, but we're going to go ahead and hit the spring. So let's go ahead and do that now. You're going to see this 3-in-1. It's a little bit thicker than your standard lubrication. Don't worry about the drips. We'll go ahead and clean that off afterwards. Another thing that we actually noticed here, on the overhead door opener bracket, we have some loose bolts, so we're going to go ahead and tighten those up as well as we go. So now that our spring's nice and lubricated, we're going to move on to the hinges. Okay, so here's your standard hinge on your overhead door. We're going to go ahead and spray that inside the hinge and around any moving parts on your door. So on your edges and on your center hinges, we're going to go ahead and spray that down too. Go ahead and hose it down wherever you see any moving parts. Okay, now that we've hit all our hinges, we're going to go ahead and we're going to spray down the track itself. Now, over time, you're going to get some buildup in here, so you're going to want to monitor that as well. The one thing you're never going to want to do on your garage door track is use grease. Any kind of grease, white lithium, bearing grease, packing grease, no grease whatsoever. You're going to want to stick with some kind of simple lubricant. WD-40 or these garage door lubricants work the best. So we're going to go ahead and spray our track down now, just by spraying it all around. Now as we're doing our track, we're going to hit our rollers on our edges as well. Make sure you really get in there with these. That's going to really keep your door rolling nice and smoothly. Okay, so one other thing to note when you're lubricating your door, make sure you don't want to lubricate the drum itself. You don't want any extra oil in there loosening up your cable, making it impossible for the door to malfunction. Okay, so we've zoomed in on a section of track here, just to kind of show you some of the buildup that's going to occur with this, simple lubricant, WD-40, anything like that. You're going to get just a slight little bit of buildup like this. That's perfectly fine. Anything really thick that's going to gum up your rollers or your bearings in there, that's going to be a problem. So if you have anything like that, you're going to want to scrape it out of there and maybe spray down the track itself with a little bit of brake cleaner, anything like that. Don't really hose down the rollers themselves, but the track itself is going to be perfectly fine with brake cleaner. It's going to dissolve, there's not going to be any residue, it'll be fine. So, like I said, this little bit of residue here is no big deal. Okay, so next on this particular door here, we're going to come to the opener itself. Most openers need regular maintenance on the chain itself. Now, you're going to notice a discrepancy between some openers. Some have a chain driven and some are belt driven. Now I have a representation of a belt right here. This is what the belts are going to look like. They're going to be plastic, they're going to be ribbed. You're not going to want to lubricate these. The chains up here, you're going to want to lubricate. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. We're just going to spray the chain down. On both sides. Try and contain your overspray. Okay, so now that everything's lubed up on the door, we've gone ahead and inspected all the nuts and bolts, zip screws, that sort of thing. Everything seems to be pretty tight. The only real problem we found is on the opener arm here itself. We've gone ahead and tightened it up, and we've added a double nut on there. It's really going to hold it tight. Never going to be a problem again. Another thing to note is on the springs themselves. You're never really going to want to adjust these. You're going to want to get a professional to do this. There is a lot of tension on these springs. Really get hurt. So don't ever mess with the sensors on there or the bolts holding them onto the bracket. Really, other than a little bit of lubricant, leave the spring itself alone. Other than that, the door itself is tuned up and it's really going to run a lot smoother now. What I recommend is every 4 to 6 months, go ahead and do the same thing I did. Inspect all the bolts, lube everything up, and your door is going to run nice and smooth for a long time. It's really going to have a lot longer life if you keep a maintenance schedule. So that's going to do it for today. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.